Hello, my name is Duncan and welcome to Back Away from the Donkey and Bath Books. And today I want to talk about Isaac Asimov short story. I'm a big fan of Asimov's writings, and I said he did loads and loads of short stories. This is a bit more of an obscure one, as I think it's only been published in two places. One of them is a collection, The Winds of Change. That was my vicious attack Yorkie. But yes, one of them, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to leave that in. You saw somebody walk past the window. Yes, The Winds of Change came out in I think it's 82, 83. 83. I brought it when it was released, actually. And it's got the story, The Last Shuttle, in it. The Last Shuttle also appears as a anthology. Asimov did a collection of people's stories on certain themes. There was one on, there's a fantasy section, there's a science fiction one on robots, obviously, but there was one on shuttles, and that appears in there. I think that was published in the mid-90s. And according to the Speculative Fiction database, those are the only two places I think this story was published bar its original publication. Because it was published originally in, it was asked to be published in a newspaper article for a paper called Today, which is around Florida area. And it was just when the first space shuttle went off. And I was thinking about this a while ago because some anniversary came up. And the original space shuttle that I remember when it went off in 81, pretty sure it's 81, when the first space shuttle went up. And I remember exactly where I was. Weirdly, I was on a day out with my parents in Windsor, of all places. And I remember seeing it through a television shop window. And I also sadly remember exactly where I was when the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up, because I was at work and I remember hearing it on the radio, and that was just tragic. But the original space shuttle, if you don't know, was designed to be reusable, which it was to a degree, but it cost far more than expected, because the original idea was to be able to have 24 flights a year, so that would mean 2 a month. And if they'd done that, maybe we would be living on the moon, as I always imagined as a child that we'd be. So yes, they originally planned it for 24, but it cost so much money. Literally, there was about a flight a year you were lucky to get out of it, just for the costs and technical things of it. But it went way over budget. But anyway, this story, The Last Shuttle, it's always stuck with me. And Asimov, I've heard people comment that his descriptions aren't very good, and I find that negative. If you listen to this.
The steel shutter lids were rolled back at announced times, and he was always there, watching the hard brilliance of the stars, enjoying the incredible hazy swarm of a star cluster, like a giant conglomeration of fireflies caught in mid-motion and stilled forever. At time, there was the cold blue-white smoke of a gaseous nebula within 5 light years of the ship, spreading over the window like distant milk, filling the room with an icy tinge, and disappearing out of sight 2 hours later after another jump.
Yes, if you heard that piece read by my lovely wife, that is from Foundation, the beginning of Foundation, when Gal Dornick is going towards Trantor. And it always sticks to me because I think it's a great description of as he's going through space towards Trantor. And I think it also beats up this idea that Asimov couldn't do sort of flowery description. All his prose was always matter of fact. And in some ways, The Last Shuttle is a bit like that. It's not one of his best stories, but it's an interesting story for me. There will be spoilers for this because it's the only way I can describe it. But the story is about, I'm trying to remember her name. It's quite a short story. It is, I've got, about 3 pages long, because, 3 pages long there. 1, 2, 3. It's about Virginia Ratner, who is doing the last flight of the shuttle leaving Earth.
Virginia Ratner sighed. There had to be a last time, I suppose. Her eyes were troubled as she looked out over the sea, shimmering in the warm sunshine. At least we have a nice day for it, though I suppose a sleet storm would match my mood better.
Looking back on this story now, in some ways it's quite wistful. I said I'll give you a couple more bits from it. There is lots of themes around it. To me now, this is looking back on it now, about what could have been with the space shuttle program if they'd developed it as much as they'd really wanted to, and if it'd been doing the 2 flights a year. But also there's a very almost ecological message in this, because they are leaving the planet Earth for the last time, and this is the last shuttle, and she is the last pilot doing this, and they are leaving the Earth to its own devices. So if you listen to this, this is right at the end.
The ship lifted silently, smoothly, and all that had been worked for over a period of 200 years was finally accomplished. Out in space, humanity waited on the moon, on Mars, amongst the asteroids, in myriads of space and settlements. The last group of Earth people rose to join them. 3 million years of hominid occupation of Earth was over. 10,000 years of earthly civilization was done. 4 centuries of busy industrialization was ended. Earth was returned to its wilderness and its wildlife by humanity, grateful to its mother planet and ready to retire it to the rest it deserved. It would remain forever as a monument to humanity's origin. The last shuttle lifted through the wisps of the upper atmosphere, and Earth stretched below it and would now be shrinking as the shuttle receded. It had been solemnly agreed by the 15 billion residents of space that human feet would never stand on it again. Earth was free, free at last.
Thank you to my lovely wife again for reading that. As you hear, it's saying goodbye to Earth, but then giving Earth back to itself after all the destruction. It's very hopeful. All Asimov's stories I always find very... I did a video a few months ago about positive science fiction books, and Asimov's works always do have a positive bent on it, very Star Trekian positive feeling to them. And I said this story really does as well. It's like all the technology left Earth, and we're thanking the planet for what it's done for us, but we're also letting it be and letting it develop. And I said in these modern ages, you know, climate change and everything like that, it's just quite an interesting take on a story like that. As I said, it's not one of Asimov's best stories, but for me, it's got a few little memories in it, and I just thought it was nice, interesting to discuss. And I think he says in here, I'll actually read his. Yeah, the original introduction Asimov's put here is, and I will read this, not unlike my wife who's reading the other section. The story is written in honour of the first shuttle of Columbia, which made a magnificent flight in April 1981. In anticipation of its success, a newspaper in Florida, whose circulation in the region included Cape Canaveral, asked me to write a story for them. They gave me the title, The Last Shuttle, and when I asked them if they had any significance or in mind in respect to that title, they said, no, write anything you please, as long as it fits that title. So I did, and it appeared on the 10th of April 1981 in a huge newspaper supplement entitled Today. And I said it's a little sort of, I said Asimov wrote loads of stories, and you can always find ones that sort of pick up on certain themes. I said this one is, for some reason it's only ever been published in 2 places, and I said there's probably lots of other of his stories are lost. But I said if you get a chance to read it, Winds of Change is actually a really nice little anthology collection of stories. There's some stuff there that's not been published elsewhere. You've also got a great story in here called About Nothing that is literally 1 page. Oh, and it's got the biggest pun at the end of any story. But anyway, so thank you very much for listening to this. I'm hoping to do a few more on some random short stories I like and come across that might perk your interest. But yeah, if you've not read any Asimov short stories, it's worth going through them. They sort of vary in quality quite a bit, but you obviously know the original robot ones. But if you go away from those, there's some quite interesting stuff there. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I will speak to you all very, very soon.